So, it's been a while since I've been doing movie reviews. You know why? I'm not gonna go through it, but you might be noticing that yeah, you probably noticed that I'm having a new perspective on the camera angle and all these things. Now I'm filming this vlog on the other side of where I usually film. Well, there's a reason to that. My tripod, it died. Well, technically the one of the legs got broken, and I'm really afraid that even if I fix it, it may fall and break the camera. So honestly, until I get a new tripod, you should hang on that camera perspective or another camera perspective or something like that. But anyway. This is a little bit of why you're seeing me and now in this angle right now. So anyway, I decided to watch a movie that came out on Netflix a few weeks ago. And again, because of certain circumstances, I'm not going to talk about it. I finally decided to watch it, and the movie I'm going to talk about is none other than the animated movie Animal Crackers. Yeah, I even bought some animal crackers too for the occasion. I haven't eaten all of them, but okay. So this movie again, it appeared on Netflix a few weeks ago. According from what I saw on Netflix, many people seen it. I also heard that this movie was supposed to be out a few years ago, but it went through development hell to make this graphic novel, movie based on a graphic novel, in which also is based on, cookies, because it's also about cookies. But my first impressions when I knew about the existence about this movie is that, oh man, this is gonna be another one of those low-budget animated films that they want to amp up the silliness to, cater to children, not gonna take it seriously and all these things. The usual things that I kind of complained on most animated films. And again, I want to make you clear that I'm not exactly 100% against, ridiculous humor, silly humor, or humor in order to make the little ones have a fun time. Usually the problem happens is that when they are mishandled or they go too much to the other extreme, that is a little bit worrisome. That to the point that they even embrace laziness, lazy writing, lazy comedy. Is an art that needs polishing in order to make it accessible not only for children but also for the whole audience. Because the point of movies is that it should be watched with everyone, the family, and if you're just pandering to children, you're not gonna please everyone when you're supposed to do it. Okay, that's kind of like my little rant when I'm supposed to talk about Animal Crackers, the Netflix movie that I just saw. So what can I say? This movie was in development hell. It was supposed to be on the movie theaters, but unfortunately things happen. I'm not gonna go too much into details until Netflix decides to pick it up. Apparently, looks like this year, because of the things that are happening around the world, we're gonna get a resurgence of a lot of movies that are in development hell. I mean, look, we had this garbage named Artemis Fowl, and probably in a few weeks or next week, we're gonna get the New Mutants. And hell, even Mulan, they have plans to bring it for $30. Fuck, that's that. Okay. But anyway, I saw Animal Crackers, and now before I start out, let me tell you my brief opinion about this movie. it's technically what you expect, kind of like an animated film. When they want to, have it too family friendly. They got a lot of celebrity voice actors. They got the animation is technically low budget, but it's not horrible. But it's kind of let's put it. I will put it kind of like in standards. When you compare it to big budget like DreamWorks or Disney. The script is mediocre at best. The story is also a little bit. It's a mess. It's kind of like a mess. But still, I would say that Animal Crackers is mediocre at best. It's not horrible because I can see that there are some things that could have worked. Although there are moments in which it can be a little bit unintentionally funny, but also there are some moments that could be a little bit too hammering on the emotional part. But still, you see that this is a movie that doesn't take any risk, and this probably again makes it kind of like a below average film. It's mediocre at best. And I'm here to talk in this vlog why maybe it was a good thing that it was on Netflix. Let me go into details about this movie. First off, let's talk about the story. The story it starts off in kind of like the 1960s, in which we see this circus that probably is a rival to Dumbo Circus. And by the way, you're gonna get a lot of Dumbo you're gonna remember Dumbo a lot when watching this movie. But anyway, the thing is that the circus owned by this mean guy named Horatio. He's voiced by Ian McKellen, and this guy, the way he looks, the way he dresses, and everything, he looks like Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, at least the animated version, and boy, that he acts a lot like Biff Tannen, especially if you get the Biff Tannen version from the Hell version from Hill Valley. So yeah, he runs the circus. He also has a more kind brother who is voiced by James Arnold Taylor. And then fate happens when one pretty girl appears, and both guys falls in love with her. This girl, she's voiced by Tara Strong. Well, then things happen, but eventually the girl falls in love with the James Arnold Taylor character instead of the Mr. Horatio Biff Tannen guy. To the point that, of course, they get married, and of course this guy gives this guy, because of his jealousy, makes an ultimatum that they're gonna choose either him or her, and of course they both decide to get married. So the guy just disappears, and of course the niece of the fortune teller. The fortune teller. No, sorry, I just spat him out. Let's go. The Tara Strong character is the niece of the fortune teller, who he kind of talks like this because she's voiced by Harvey Fierstein. She, as a wedding gift, she gives them a magical box that has animal crackers. And then, apparently, guess what? The whole thing that I talked to you about it is just a prologue. It's not even the crux of the story, because the crux of the story happens when 30 years happen, and they're happily married, they still run the circus, and then we finally get to meet, of course, the main characters, who is who is this kid named Owen, played by John Krasinski. And then he enjoys the circus. He is the nephew of the married couple, and then of course he falls in love with another girl named Zoe. She's voiced by Emily Blunt. And of course they get married, but unfortunately Emily Blunt's father, who is played by, what was the name of this guy? Wallace Shawn. Yeah, he's kind of like a no-nonsense guy who works in a dog biscuit factory, and technically, well, yeah, he says that life in the circus is worthless, it's full of nincompoop, so he forces the main character out of the circus life. So both they decide to live in the city, and they live 7 years into in a miserable life where he's just technically eating dog biscuits, which he just tastes them in a really, really run-down shack factory of dog biscuits. And in which the only employees are this guy, the father. There's this woman who experiments on making different flavors, she's played by Raven Simone, and this guy who, for some reason, he also looks like Biff Tannen. Again, it's kind of like we got two Biff Tannens in one movie, but technically it's this asshole guy, who is played by Patrick Warburton, who he's just there, to make everyone's life miserable by taunting Mr. Owen, and also with the Raven's character, he just sabotages her experiments in order to make him look good and everything. Oh man, yeah, you're noticing that I'm kind of stretching the whole thing, but trust me, it takes a while to finally get to something, because then what happens is that out of nowhere, apparently this Horatio guy, who now he becomes, he kind of looks like an old man Biff Tannen again, but with more monkey features, in which he's trying to find out ways to make the circus his own little circus more successful. But of course, things happen. There's a fire, and then the uncles of the couple from the last marriage, they disappear, and in their supposed funeral there's this feud, and the Owen guy, he inherits the magic box with animal crackers in it. The thing is that the secret is that these magical animal crackers, whenever you eat one, you're gonna turn into an animal. The animal the animal figure that you eat. Like, for example, if you eat the octopus, you're gonna turn into an octopus, and so on, so on, so on. And of course, you can change it back. Only if you eat the cracker that is shaped like a human. And by the way, yes, this magical box is magically refillable. Yeah, shenanigans happen. They try to. There's a plot in which they have to make the circus more successful now that the ringleaders are gone, and also to keep it from the hands of this Horatio guy who has his own band of evil henchmen, let's say, in which one of them is this little daredevil guy named Zucchini, played by Gilbert Gottfried. Yeah, I know that it took a while to talk to you about the premise of the movie, but I had to put you at least into perspective on how this movie could be a cliche for older generations. It's technically predictable, and again, it takes some safe moments, which I'll get to it. Let's go a little bit with the voice acting. The voice acting is somehow decent at best, but you can tell that there are some moments in which there is a kind of like a mix-up between some A-list actors and B-list voice actors, and you can tell that there is a difference between actors who does have a talent on voice acting and some that are not. I also forgot to mention that. Remember that I told you that this movie is gonna give you Dumbo vibes? Well, especially because the main clown, which is kind of like the voice of reason on the Circus, he's voiced by Danny DeVito. Come on! I mean, this is the second movie in 2 years that we have Danny DeVito in a Circus movie. Oh my god. Okay, but anyway, you can tell some of the voice some of these people who has, they're just there to just voice act, and some who does kind of like, their own things. I will say that the best voice actors in this movie is none other than Gilbert Gottfried and Patrick Warburton, because these guys, whenever they show off, their staple on their voice, and you're gonna recognize them. But still, they give out a kind of like a personality to these characters. And coincidentally, while they are villains in this movie, they technically are kind of like the best characters in the movie, because one of them, the guy named Zucchini, again voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, he does have that Yago-style voice, and I've named the Great Zucchini. And there's a little bit of a running gag in which he talks to the main bad guy, Horatio, and he just calls him, "You're my henchman." "No, you're my henchman." "Well, whatever you say. And there are moments in which he just trolls the guy, and I would say that this is probably some of the most the closest scenes to being funny on this movie. And on the other hand, we got this Patrick Warburton character named Brock, who he's buff. He's so full of himself. He's technically the dark side of Joe Swanson, but for some reason the funny thing is that he's a scumbag who makes fun of his employees. He sabotages the scientist machinery, but he takes kind of like a delight to it, and and in one way they call him Ninja Brock, to the point that's how I've been calling him the whole movie. "Oh, look, here's Ninja Brock." But the way he does it, and the way he's a scumbag, and how he's delightful to it, it's kind of hilarious. I gotta admit that I don't want to force you to watch this movie, because this movie is not worth it. But if you find clips of these two guys, the guy named Zucchini and Ninja Brock, oh my god, it's so ridiculous. And like I said, yeah, the other characters are okay. There is also we got the main character, the little girl and everything. Oh, I almost forgot. There's a little bit also of a running gag also that involves this I think it's the oldest of the circus gang. And the oldest guy of the circus gang is this guy named Bullet Man, who he has very little lines, but you won't believe who voices him. And I think that this is probably, apart from Danny DeVito, he probably is the most expensive voice actor that they got. You won't believe it. You won't believe it who is that guy. The Bullet Man is Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. Sylvester Stallone. Old Man Rocky. I was surprised to hear that that Sylvester Stallone was in this movie. He doesn't have too many lines, but I couldn't believe it. It's time for me to talk about some of the plot elements. I already said that sometimes when it's about animation, it's hard to say if it's good or bad but this one I'll say that it's kind of the middle of the road. I'm not gonna be too harsh on that one because again, animation is complicated, and when they're done right, they're done right. When there's something really bad, this is when they're gonna call out. So saying that the animation is good is technically a given, I'll say. Because this one is decent, I'll say. And it's not, don't expect, DreamWorks or Disney. The story and the elements that they have, that's where the movie suffers. Because the movie tries to become big. It tries to be this giant lore in which you got, character having a relationship with the other one. Like, for example, we see the movie tries to explore these kind of things. Like, for example, the kind brother with the Horatio guy, the guy the two main character with the daughter, the Emily Blunt character with the father with the main guy, with the scientist with Ninja Brock, the clown, a lot of things they wanted to make, but unfortunately, again, it feels like some of these characters could be fillers. Like, for example, the scientist, again played by Raven-Symoné. She is a character that you could easily remove it from the film and nothing will change. Nothing will change. She only does one thing, but that thing could have it could have gone better if she wasn't there. Even the Brock character, it felt more like a filler villain. Even though he was entertaining as hell, he was just there. So, and even the henchmen are well, again, entertaining. They don't feel so much about it. Although it is really, really disappointing that they screw up the way how the villain gets introduced. For example, yeah, we see the past with Horatio guy, but then when he disappears and everything, the next time we see him, snuggling and breaking into one of the circus carts and looking for something, but there is no shadow or no mystery, at least. Technically, it doesn't give you the impulse that he's gonna be a villain or something like that. Only for the next time to finally appear and show that, yeah, I'm the villain. But that intensity was gone when you didn't clearly make him see that he's gonna be the villain. This is why there is a certain importance of putting shadows and keeping some things in the dark to not just for this, even if it's gonna be obvious that, yeah, he's the villain. The next time he's gonna appear, the atmosphere helps to bring out the mood that, yeah, he is the villain. The main character, of course, are kind of stuck. The Emily Blunt character, she's kind of like the caring mother and wife, and she does okay. Sometimes it can be bland. The husband, Owen, he's okay too. You see him a lot of times, and his arc could have been a little bit stronger. I mean, he's the guy. He's the guy that he felt pressure by his father-in-law, and in order to make her everyone happy, he just feel pressure to abandon the circus life that he wanted, and only to get a meager job, and of course he's been treated like shit. the poor guy, until, of course, he inherits, you know, the magical box of cookies, in which, yeah, the thing here's also a big problem that I found with the magical box of cookies, in which the only thing that they explain about this box is that those cookies and the box was made by the Esmeralda, the gypsy fortune teller from the intro of the movie. But did she make them? Where she got them? And honestly, also the movie did brought up saying that, yeah, this thing is kind of like a curse. It is indeed, because, yeah, like I said, the thing is that there's a limited quantity of animal crackers, in which every time you eat them, you turn into an animal, and then when you turn into the animal, it magically a cookie shape of a human is gonna appear. And the movie always always tells you that there is a huge drawback on those cookies. Like, for example, what will happen if that cookie in the shape of a human is lost? So it is a really drawback, which makes me question, wow, that Esmeralda really gave them a really dangerous item. Oh, and also, it didn't want it to explain, because the Danny DeVito's character is like, well, that's how it works. Yeah, but how did it work? With magic. With magic? Yeah, don't question it. It's just magic. Guys, let me tell you one thing. You can take this kind of like humorous, but you gotta be careful with that mentality, because when you say things that, okay, it's magic, you don't have to think, you don't have to think, you know, thoughtfully about it. You don't have to overthink it. It's a trap. It is a trap. I know people will say that you are just overthinking it. You don't want to believe in the magic and everything. Yes, I know, but on the other side, that's kind of proof that it's lazy writing. So when you come up with an excuse by saying it's magic, you just don't even want to know. It's just lazy. Other things. Sometimes there is a moment in which the movie tries to become a musical with the villain singing, but that song sucks. It really sucks. And sometimes when music montage happens, they use pop music, which again, it is a trap to attract, I hate to say this, little children in order to lure them. But sometimes they come up also with, this also brings out that consequence, that when you want to try to become a little bit hip, sometimes you can spout out just kind of like a lame joke once in a while, in which sometimes it becomes referential. I mean, I'm not against referential humor, but sometimes referential humor, you have to do it right. For example, there is a moment in which the scientist, she eats one of those biscuit experiments, because she wants to, you know, find a biscuit that tastes good for a human. I don't know how the hell it works. Tell me one thing. If you work in a dog biscuit factory, do humans have to taste the dog biscuit? Okay, the point is that she is one of those experimental ones, and then she turns her skin blue. And she just spout out, "Oh my god, I'm looking like Smurfette." Yeah, there's some cringy ones that you're gonna see some cringy jokes here. But for me, the one that gave me the biggest slap on my face is the one when she's checking the machine, and she said, "Oh yeah, I even tried up down left right BA start." Yeah, you heard me right. They use a Konami code reference. Oh my god. So, and finally, before I keep on going that, I want to tell you also that the movie he's messy when it's around going around with the scenes, because sometimes I just want to go with you one way or another, and it feels like they want to make a message out of it, but I couldn't find a concrete one. Like for example, you're gonna do what you dream of and make your family happy and everything. It's fine and nice, but there was also this moment in which they wanted to give out death to the Zoe character's father, but he comes out as being an asshole and a lot of the times. And here's the thing that what I told you, that the movie is afraid to take in risk. The movie is afraid to show that, yeah, we all know that there's an importance of family. Family values and everything, and yeah, this is technically the basis of a society. But unfortunately, there are moments in which some family members are not worth it. I hate to say this, but sometimes they're not worth it. And this movie had that chance with both that father figure and the Horatio Biff Tannens evil bad guy, because they didn't want to do that, because first of all, the father character. Sorry, the camera ran out of batteries, but it's fine now. So where was I? Oh yeah, the father figure character. This character could have some potential about about the family values and the family acceptance, but I think that this arc was really put aside as secondary and just kept it as non-important when it was supposed to be non-important. Like for example, in the beginning, he's been shown kind of like an asshole, that he doesn't support the circus life. He is salty over his son-in-law because he married his daughter, who he didn't want all this nonsense nincompoopy circus life, and so he forced him out of that life in order to make him work on the dog biscuit factory, where he treats him like shit and everything. And I don't know exactly why the daughter was like, Dad, you gotta treat my husband with respect. I mean, God. But nope, they don't want to follow that, and I think there was something hidden there in which they wanted to make sure that he was getting in the way on the happiness of not only the daughter but also her husband. And there was this moment in which finally after the animal crackers thing, in which the main character can eat all these animal crackers, he turns into animals, and he finally decides to go into the circus life. He finally said, you know what, I quit this job. I quit this job. And he finally tells him off. At least he gave it a thesis in saying that you don't know what your daughter is basically doing. Here's some tickets for the circus. At least give it a try. And at that moment, the movie could have done something with this guy in which it could make him, ponder about the things that he has done, or make him, suffer on the problem with the factory, because there were very little people working there, and it really felt run down and miserable, and it was going kind of like nowhere, except that it had that Ninja Brock sabotaging the employees and everything in order to make himself look good and make him take over the company. So they could have done something like that, but how did he manage to get into the circus, at least for the climax? Because we got the Raven-Symoné character just bursting into the door and saying, I got something to tell you and you're going into the circus. Which, this is less effective when you're trying to make us feel for the character, because it kind of feels like that the character, while being brash and you just want to give him some kind of some kind of redeeming quality, it doesn't work when another character comes in and force it out of him. Instead of, letting emotions flow in a way. But this is technically something that could have been done better if polished and thoughtful. But then we got the other side of the spectrum, which is none other than the villain, which of course the Biff Tannen old guy who he wanted the cookies because he wants the glory for himself, all for himself, and of course the shenanigan happened during the quitting of the job of the main guy, in which he quits the job, but unfortunately this ninja broad bullying antics made him accidentally eat one of the cookies and grabs the cookie because it turned into a baboon, a mandrill or whatever he was, and the whole thing is that, when this ninja broad is captured by Zucchini, in his hand he just has small pieces of the animal crackers and the human cracker that can let the main character turn back. And then apparently the movie kind of turns out by saying that the guy had to adjust living a life without turning into a human. And of course, during the climax, the guy almost gets blackmailed by saying that, "Hey, I got the human cookie there, so you can transform into a human, but you gotta give me the circus and everything." Which I forgot to mention that the movie's also lazy in a way in which it kind of assumes saying that when the owner of the circus are gone, then it automatically goes into the main bad guy, mostly because the movie kind of doesn't go into the procedures. Like for example, usually when an owner of the circus is gone, there is the law of the next to kin or to a legal guardian or someone who you can trust. But they didn't go with that. There's no procedural contract or anything saying that, okay, these guys disappear, so he'd go with that. So this part is kind of left out. Maybe because they wanted to simplify it for children to understand it, but no. But I kind of like that it goes into that the character saying that, well, screw you. I'd rather stay an animal and not become a human than selling out to my family and all these things. And of course, the guy's like, "Oh yeah, well, come in, my minions." And his minions, of course, they eat different pieces of the animal cracker that they got, in which it kind of they didn't establish that, but they say that if you eat, for example, a piece of a lion, a piece of a frog, a piece of a giraffe, and everything, and you eat those at once, then you turn into a chimera, a hybrid of animals. And then we got, of course, the climax during a circus event in which apparently lots of stuff happened, and apparently the movie kind of forgets that there is an audience surrounding it. I mean, things dangerously happen, even to the main bad guy, who later gets surrounded, and then we get the twist. Of course, the twist that it was predictable, in which the previous owner of the circus, they never died. What happened is that they turned into a cat and a dog, and during the fire incident, the crackers that had their human forms, it got destroyed, so they're stuck like that forever. Again, that is some screw up of those cookies. That is dangerous as frick. And apparently they wanted to see the good on him by saying that, "Dude, you're better than this. You don't have to do this." But the guy is like, "Nope, I want to be better than this. I want to rule the world." And he eats a bunch of cookies and turns into a chimera monster. And to bring us, of course, the climax, in which is a lot of people eating cookies and turning into animals. But see what I mean is that sometimes sometimes some family members are not worth it. And you wanted to establish that this guy is redeemable, that he's better than this, when the movie never shows us this trait. It never shows us that there is something, that there's some good on him. And you wanted to bring us that because he's my brother, I'm gonna love you. We're gonna teach children that sometimes you can't trust even your family members. I know that is a horrible message that I'm saying, but you have to look on the both sides of the coin, on both sides of the coins. And yeah, we got this thing, we got the climax, and then happily ever after, the life of the circus, and the father seeing, all the things that would happen in the circus. Even moments in which his daughter was put into big danger, he's like, hey, it's the best show ever! What? Man. Jesus Christ. And then, of course, the circus is a hit because okay, I'll go with that. Something that I want to rant sometimes. The circus is good. The main bad guy, he's turned into a gerbil and he's locked on a gerbil cell. And then they got the cookies. Everyone is part of the circus, even the scientists and the father. With the dog biscuits, they say that, hey, we're gonna turn this dog biscuit thing and make the children, when they eat it, their faces are gonna turn into. They're gonna have the color of the animals, and then of course to remove them, they're gonna have to burp it out. And they were saying, oh, they're gonna be fine. That's the part that we're not gonna tell everyone. Yeah, welcome for yeah, at least, you know what? We get ready for a lawsuit. And then the movie ends with the main character saying that, hey, there's this cookie that we can put on the show. It's experimental, but okay. He turns into a dragon. Dude, if animal crackers had dragons, then there wouldn't be animal crackers. I would call it fantasy crackers. Still, I will eat them. Ah, man. Again, this is technically a mediocre film. It's mediocre. I don't hate it, I'll say. I'll say that at least it has some entertaining value watching the movie that is mediocre, there are parts that is unintentionally funny. But here's something that I want to, that kind of begs my question, of course. And I'm not trying to diminish, by the way, the life of circuses. Because, personally, even though it's been a long time since I've been to the circus, I like the circus. They're entertaining. I respect clowns. I respect magicians. I respect all of the people in there. But something mesmerized me about this movie, especially in this day and age in which the circus. I know that it becomes kind of like a struggling art, and they had to come like new ways on showing the circus. I mean, they were still there. I mean, just in case, I'm talking about how it was in the past, like ignoring that we are now facing this this pandemic thing. Unfortunately, this circus life, it really looks like a circus from that is from very outdated, from the 1970s or something like that. And I'm not gonna say that they don't exist, because in my country, even in the 2000s, and as far from what I can remember, there were times that the circus is in town and you're gonna see all these traditional circuses. In a way, I do want to visit one of those one of these days, and especially if we are out of this thing. But the biggest thing that kind of raised my eyebrow is that there was during a moment in which, like in the middle of the movie, they were going on running the circus, but the problem is that the people in the audience are demanding, "Where are the animals? Where are the animals? Where are the animals?" I know the animals can be entertaining, but here's the thing. in this day and age, in which people are getting a little bit strong on the animal rights thing, and here comes technically the problem with a lot of the circus, because it is very challenging to tame all these wild animals, and even if you're doing a good job with taming them, it kind of comes with the debate that, yeah, these animals shouldn't be doing circus things and anything. They should be free in the jungle and everything. They shouldn't be part of, there shouldn't be tools of entertaining for mankind. And of course, that this is another can of worms to open, but this is something that they don't want to explore in that circus thing. Although it didn't, I think that it will turn into another movie, but there wasn't. But in a movie at that era, I don't think that people demand too much watching animals on the circus. To be fair, there are few circus that they did make shows without the need of animals. I mean, look at the famous Circus of Soleil. The Circus of Soleil, it has absolutely no animals. They're all acrobats and people with great talent. So that's my kind of like my little rant on their take on the circus life. But overall, do I recommend Animal Crackers? No, I don't think it is. I don't think I can recommend it. It's very subpar if I have to compare it to other movies that I just saw, like Artemis Fowl, which is worse than Animal Crackers. But if I had to compare it with Scoops, I think that Scoops is worse in ways because at least the problem with Scoops is that Scoops felt too pretentious compared to this one. That Animal Cracker is mostly misguided and didn't want it to take too much risk compared to Scoops. So with that say, just pick your poison, and in the meantime, it doesn't, still, Animal Crackers are still delicious. You know, it's been a while. I think I should talk about an animated series. Let me take a rest from movies for a while and at least make an episode for a TV series. But which series should I talk about?